Hey guys, I'm back with another Beyblade Tournament Analysis. Today I'll be analyzing the School Bell is Ringing Tournament hosted by LJ Blader in Virginia this past weekend. So this was a pretty good tournament. There were a lot of high-ranked players there, and a lot of the matches came down to draws or replays between a Dynamite combo and a Vanished combo. So it was a fairly long day. So the top four for this event were the 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th seeds, and that's pretty interesting as those are the bottom seeds in all of the matchups in the top 8. So jumping right into this analysis, the first matchup is between the 5th and the 8th seeds. So Broyeeto was the, I want to say he was the 8th seed, and AJ Blader was the 5th seed. Now the combos these players were using, Broyeeto, he was using Ray Spriggan 3A Quick Dash, Dynamite Belial with that F gear tapered bearing and armor 2, and Vanish Fafner Giga Drift with armor 3. And AJ Blader, he was using Vanish Bahamut Nexus with the S gear bearing and armor 10. He used Dynamite Valkyrie with that F gear over Zone Dash plus Z and armor 6. And he also used Astral Fafner with Giga Drift and armor 2. So the first matchup is Dynamite versus Vanish. Now, I have to say that I do like this Vanish combo that AJ Blader is using, the Nexus with the S gear at least, as that reminds me a lot of 2B. And with that combo, if you can get the opponent to tilt forward and hit up against that Nexus with the S gear, you can make them waste a lot of stamina. Personally, on a Vanish combo, I'd probably use either Over or Giga. Now, Over does way more and it does help keep bearing up, so a lot of players actually favor using bearing as opposed to Giga. So yeah, this first match, this first point will go to Dynamite, as you'll see that Vanish starts to turn as opposed to spin. So right here, it's now turning, it's no longer rotating. So Broyeeto gets the point here, and AJ Blader will ask for the switch. Broyeeto, he switches to his Vanish, and AJ Blader chooses to keep his Vanish. And for the remainder of this matchup, AJ Blader actually just uses his Vanish combo the entire time. And a lot of these matches come down to draws and replays, and I did speak about this last tournament analysis, kind of gave a quick overview of the difference between, say, a spin, a roll, and a turn. However, it seems like a lot of judges don't actually know the difference between the three, and a lot of judges actually give out points when the Beyblade is turning or just rolling along the floor. Now, of course, when you have parts like, say, bearing or Zone Dash plus Z, or say tapered or Giga, when the Beyblade stops, it will continue to spin in place as long as it's rotating along that central axis. If you go directly through the center of the chip, that is still spinning. So a Beyblade can be in place and still spinning. However, if it's just turning or rolling along the stadium floor, that doesn't actually count as spinning. So hopefully, in maybe a future update of the rules, the WBO can maybe include a better definition or somehow get judges, I guess, better training on the difference between rolling, spinning, and turning. So yeah, like I said, this is definitely going to keep coming down to close matchups. There were a lot of draws, so I did start giving out points, or I shouldn't say start. I was just giving out points as long as the Beyblade was out spinning, as it doesn't have to be a complete spin or complete rotation for it to be considered to have outspun the opponent. It just has to spin longer, no matter how slightly it has outspun the opponent. And yeah, this is the Vanish versus Dynamite matchup, and I want to say this is the replay, and Vanish is actually going to win the matchup again. Yeah, there's really not much to really discuss about this matchup. Well, let's see. If I was Broyeeto, what would I? And I hope I'm pronouncing his name right, but what would I use against AJL Blader's Vanish combo? For one, I wouldn't try Rage. Rage on a rubber driver isn't very good against Vanish combo. It's just rubber, so it absorbs all of that impact, and it's not too great against Dynamite, whatever, with F gear either, as that also absorbs some of the impact. But I do, at least at this tournament, I saw a lot of players using Rage on rubber drivers. Now, if you're good, you can well, I shouldn't say if you're good, you can possibly get a lucky hit if you're a decent launcher. But if you're a great launcher with the rubber drivers, I guess you may be able to KO some of these combos. However, I still don't think a good rubber driver launcher can really KO some of these Vanish combos if the opponent is at least launching anywhere near the right way. So yeah, Broyeeto, he asks for a switch here, and it just comes down to being a replay, as AJL Blader isn't going to switch out of this combo. And I didn't actually say what I would have used if I was Broyeeto. If I was Broyeeto, it's hard to say. Maybe I would have tried my own Vanish. AJL Blader, his combo is really good, and he's really good at launching on that bearing, and he has a really good bearing. So it's really hard to say what should be used against it. I'd say maybe Dynamite has a good chance of beating that Vanish combo. Alright, so this matchup is between the 6th and the 7th seed. So LJ Blader was the 6th seed and DeceasedCrab was the 7th seed. And the combos these players are using, LJ Blader, he used Dynamite Belly Out with that F gear, overbearing, and armor 0. He used Vanish Fafnir with tapered Quattro and armor 2. And he also used Rage Helios 2 with that metal chip core and quick dash. So another Rage combo on a rubber driver. And DeceasedCrab, he used Dynamite F gear, Belly Out, over drift with armor 10. He used Vanish Fafnir Giga bearing with armor 6. And he used Rage Helios 2 with that metal chip core, 3A of course, and Extreme Dash. So again, another Rage 3A with a rubber driver. So this first matchup is Dynamite versus Dynamite. And it is a bearing combo versus a drift combo. So this really depends on the opponent's drift driver. If they have a really good drift and they're really good at launching with drift, then they can win this matchup. I'm going to say right now, DeceasedCrab has an amazing drift. You'll see in some of his launches, he launches extremely hard and his drift just goes straight to the center and just sits there. If I launch this exact same combo on, say, my drift, and I'm sure other people who may have tried this combo, if they launch as hard as DeceasedCrab was, their drift would just go completely out of control and maybe self-KO. Now, in this first round right here, LJ does get the point. He does end up outspinning this drift combo by quite a bit, actually. And DeceasedCrab, he asks for the switch, and LJ, he's not going to switch. He already has the point, so he has the advantage. And so DeceasedCrab, he ends up switching into his Vanish combo. And that is Vanish on bearing. So bearing versus bearing. Now, his Vanish combo is on Giga, so it does have a good chance to just topple over. Now, if you're leaning into the opponent, that can actually keep you upright. And that is actually why a lot of players prefer over as opposed to Giga, as it weighs more and it keeps you standing a little bit longer. Now, when it comes to a combo on drift, I prefer Giga Drift as opposed to Over Drift, as Over will start scraping the floor or the stadium floor sooner than the Giga combo will, and the Giga combo allows you to tilt harder and maintain more control of that drift with that tilt. So this matchup will be a good example of a turn, as it gets really close, but you'll see that Vanish Fafner starts to turn slightly before, like right there, it's turning before the Dynamite combo started turning. And so again, DeceasedCrab asks for the switch. LJ, he's not going to switch out, so DeceasedCrab decides to go back to his Dynamite combo. And he does have Rage, he just doesn't, he has like a deck box, so you don't really see his Rage right now. And I'm pretty sure he's not using it, as he knows that Rage doesn't stand a really good chance of KOing these newer combos. So what happened there is LJ Blader, he saw how he was holding his launcher. He had it tilted really hard directly at the pocket, and when he launched, he kind of pushed down and then pulled up, so his Beyblade went directly into the pocket. Now that is a point for DeceasedCrab, but what I want to mention is that I see a lot of players, and I shouldn't say players, I'm going to just say judges, as it's mainly judges who I see do this. If they would have done that, a lot of judges would have called a miss launch or asked for a miss launch. Now, the way I would rule that is it's not a miss launch at all. There are no outside forces affecting your launch. Your launcher did not malfunction. You just pulled the string and you were kind of holding it the wrong way. So yeah, just remember that if you have, and I know I'm kind of calling out judges, and that's only because I see judges call miss launches in this situation way more than a non-judge player, and I should say judges and organizers. So yeah, LJ Blader, he didn't call a miss launch. He accepted that that point was DeceasedCrab, which is definitely the right call. So LJ will ask for the switch, and DeceasedCrab will stay, and so LJ will also stay, resulting in a replay. So as of right now, LJ is pretty confident that his Dynamite can beat DeceasedCrab Dynamite. So he's confident that his variant is better than DeceasedCrab's drift. So you see how hard DeceasedCrab launched there, and his drift just went straight to the center. Also, the previous launch was the exact same way. His drift went straight to the center. And even though he's launching really hard, I'd say it would appear to me that he may be launching a little bit harder than LJ. However, Baron is still outspinning his drift. And with that, LJ will get the point here, and DeceasedCrab will ask for a switch. LJ, of course, is going to stay, and DeceasedCrab will also stay. So what is the best combo for DeceasedCrab to switch in on LJ's Baron combo? Well, looking at the combos, I'm going to say probably his Dynamite, honestly. I mean, he does have Vanish on Baron. It is opposite spin. However, it is on Giga, so it is more prone to tilt over than over Baron. And that's really something to think about when you're using matchups against the same drivers. You also have to think about the disc, as again, overbearing, at least from what I've seen, is a little bit more sturdy than Giga bearing. So this time, DeceasedCrab, he does actually end up winning this matchup. His drift does outspin, and yeah, I don't know how I would have taken that if I were LJ. I probably would have taken it as he just got a lucky point, as it was a very clear outspin in that very first matchup between these two Dynamite combos. So if I were him, I would definitely try to either replay put this up against his combo the next time. So yeah, you see there, Drift did outspin a lot. And so LJ, he asked for the replay, which is 100% what I would have done based on the first matchup and the amount of outspin I got on that combo. And yeah, again, this is same spin, so I want to say Bearing definitely has the advantage, but there are some drifts out there that are just godly and same and opposite spin, i.e. Arca's drift. Though I want to say that DeceasedCrab's drift is, I don't want to say it's better, but it goes to the center a lot easier than Arca's drift does. This Arca has to tilt his drift pretty hard to make it stay centered, whereas DeceasedCrab can just launch as hard as he wants and it goes to the center. So yeah, LJ gets the point there again. DeceasedCrab asks for the switch, and of course LJ is going to stay. So DeceasedCrab, he decides just to go ahead and switch out to his advantage. Yeah, I think if you were to do a fusion of DeceasedCrab's drift and Arca's drift, but the way DeceasedCrab drift just goes straight to the center and how Arca's drift just has so much stamina, that would be a pretty godly drift. So yeah, you can see here, this is what I'm saying with Giga Bearing. The Vanish combo is allowed to tilt more than if it was on over, as Giga is slanted, so that more of a tilt, what happens is it ends up getting underneath other combos. Like you see there how Dynamite was on top of it, that ends up happening a lot. So yeah, LJ takes the win here, and this next matchup will be for the third place. So DeceasedCrab versus Broyeeto, and the combos that they are using, Broyeeto, he is using Rage Spriggan with 3A Quick Dash. He's using Dynamite Belly Out with that F gear, Giga and Drift 2, and he's using Vanish Fafnir. I want to say he used Tapered Bearing 3. So I did just notice this in the video. It says that he's using Giga Drift, and also he's going to use Dynamite, and it's also Giga Drift. His Vanish combo was definitely Tapered Bearing with Armor 3. And DeceasedCrab, he's using the exact same combos again. So Dynamite Belly Out with that F gear over Drift with Armor 10, Vanish Fafnir, Giga Bearing Armor 6, and Rage Helios 2 with that Metal Chip Core, 3A, and Extreme Dash. So yeah, the first matchup is Vanish versus Dynamite. And yeah, so Tapered with Tapered Bearing. The way I feel about that is Tapered causes Bearing to roll a lot more. And again, when players are using, say, Bearing, Zone Dash plus Z, Tapered, or Over, you really have to pay attention to the ruling on spinning, rotations, turning, etc. As those do allow the Beyblades to spin longer, and sometimes it just results in rotation. So you have to really know the difference. So yeah, DeceasedCrab gets that first point. Broyeeto, he asks for the switch, and DeceasedCrab is going to stay, and Broyeeto switches into this Rage combo. So you'll see here, he gets a really good pattern going. However, he's not going to knock out this belly out. You see, it's kind of absorbing all of that impact and barely moving. Well, I guess it did move quite a bit there, but all of Rage's power is now gone. And Broyeeto, at least on that launch, he got a really good pattern going. So DeceasedCrab does end up getting the point here, and Broyeeto, he actually asks for a replay, which was quite interesting. I would have switched out my combos. Yeah. And here he's just getting a test launch. And you'll see later on in the video, DeceasedCrab does get a few test launches as well. So the way I do test launches is I'll allow up to 3 test launches, and after that, I really won't allow the player to get another test launch unless it's okay with the opponent. Because you have to think, after a certain amount of test launches, you really have your launch perfectly down, and it may be an advantage against the opponent. So yeah, Rage went into a tornado stall here, so unfortunately it got outspun by the Dynamite belly out combo. So again, Broyeeto will ask for the switch, and DeceasedCrab, he's not going to switch. He's all the way up 3-0, so yeah, there's no reason for him to switch at all. He's going to make Broyeeto beat him. So Broyeeto ends up switching into his Dynamite combo. So it's essentially the exact same combos going against each other. The only difference is Giga Armor 2 versus Over Armor 10. And yeah, just look. DeceasedCrab, he's holding his launcher straight like you would normally go into a tornado stall, but his drift goes straight to the center. However, there you saw Broyeeto's drift went out of control and hit up against his drift, making it KO. So DeceasedCrab asks for the switch. Broyeeto chooses to stay, and DeceasedCrab also decides to stay, resulting in a replay. And if I were DeceasedCrab, I would also choose to stay, honestly. I definitely count on my drift staying in control more than my opponents. You can see they both go out of control here. But yeah, you'll see Broyeeto just wastes so much stamina. So much more stamina. So DeceasedCrab does get that point. So again, actually no, Broyeeto asks for the replay here if I remember correctly. And this time Broyeeto actually takes the center and makes DeceasedCrab go out of control. So you see he's hitting up against it, and he's going to make it out of control while he stays in the center. Now you can't really say he planned to do that. I mean, maybe. I don't know if I could do that repeatedly with these same 2 combos. So yeah, that was really good there. So DeceasedCrab asks for the switch, and Broyeeto chooses to stay. And DeceasedCrab, I'm not sure why, but he chose to go into his rage. I think he just wanted to try something different, honestly. I'm really not sure why he went into his rage combo. Now, something you'll notice is that his rage does keep jumping back, and that does happen when you're not really I don't want to say that good at launching on rubber drivers, but if you look at how he's holding his launcher, he is sort of holding it at least from the angle that this video is taken, it looks like he's holding it parallel to the stadium floor. You have to really get the perfect angle on rubber drivers in order for them to not get KO'd. And yeah, you see there, he stood at the edge of the stadium, and the drift combo just swept around and hit him. So yeah, DeceasedCrab will ask for the switch, and Broyeeto will go to Dynamite, and DeceasedCrab decides to use his Vanish combo. And yeah, this is just a really bad launch on Broyeeto's part, and yeah, his combo just goes out of control, and it does end up stopping. You'll actually be able to see the point where it stops. So let me see if I can pause it as soon as it stops. So right there. So it stopped, and it was definitely stopped, and the Vanish combo ended up hitting it and making it spin again. So when it was over here, I wasn't sure if it had stopped or not yet. So by rules, the battle still has to play out, and then I would have had to look at the footage to see if it actually stopped or not. It happened so quick. However, right there, I clearly saw that it stopped. So I went ahead and said that that was a point for DeceasedCrab. And yeah, it stopped again visibly. So Alright, so this is the finals matchup, AJL Blader versus LJ Blader. And I want to say they're both using the same combos, but I'll go ahead and run through them again. AJL Blader was using Vanish Bahamut Nexus with that S gear variant and armor 10. He used Dynamite Valkyrie with that F gear over Zone Dash plus Z and armor 6. And he used Astral Fafnir with Giga Drift and armor 2. LJ Blader, he used Dynamite Belial with that F gear over variant armor 0. He used Vanish Fafnir Tapered Quattro with armor 2. And he used Rage Helios 2 with the Metal Chip Core 3A and Quick Dash. So the first matchup is Dynamite versus Vanish. And if I remember correctly, AJL Blader, actually no, the first stage of the tournament, he was using Astral on Drift. And he did really good with that. And that's a really good combo in right spin, as you have that metal contacting against the opponent. So yeah, this is overbearing versus Nexus S bearing. And yeah, you see that Belial is tilting and it is hitting up against that I guess S gear. That's why it's sort of remaining tilted. However, it will end up knocking over the Vanish combo and outspinning it. And this is something else with these these stamina matchups. A lot of players, and I've said this before, regardless of how many replays you show them, they will think that they still won. So there was no need. The Dynamite definitely outspun. So what happened here is AJL Blader, he didn't really know how switch and replays work. I think he had it mixed up the opposite. So just to, I guess, reiterate or iterate how switch and replays work within the WBO, the loser of a match or the loser of the round is given the opportunity. You ask them if they want to switch or replay. If they say switch, then the winner has to say if they're going to switch their combo or if they're going to stay. If they switch their combo, they have to pick a combo and show it to the opponent. And then the opponent, they can either choose a new combo or keep the same combo. Now if the loser says replay, then both players play the match again with the same Beyblade. And also, if the loser says switch and the winner chooses to stay with the same combo, then the loser can also choose to either switch or stay with the same combo, which would result in a replay. So yeah, I did have to explain it a few times here, but after this, AJ, he kind of gets the idea. So yeah, he ended up asking for a replay after he understood the rules. And this one here, it comes down to a draw. I think one of the players asked to see the replay, so I think I might have showed the replay, but at least to me, it was very visibly a draw. So it doesn't hurt to actually see the replay and to show what you think. Now, I have made calls before, and the opponent has asked, or a player has asked to see a replay. And upon inspecting the replay, I have found out that I made the wrong call. So I have changed calls based on replays before. So yeah, that was a draw, which means that they have to replay with the exact same Beyblades. And this time, Vanish does end up winning. And both of these players have some pretty good bearings. Yeah, with that Nexus with that S gear, in free spin mode, it is good, as even if you fall, like your Beyblade tilts over, it can keep spinning. Even if the Nexus and S gear is stationary, it can still sort of spin, or it can sort of it can roll, or what you call spin in place. So yeah, LJ Blader, he asks for the switch, And AJL, he's just going to stay with his vanish, and LJ decides to switch out to his vanish combo. So he's using his vanish on Tapered and Quattro with armor 2. So this is the combo he actually used to, I want to say, beat Arca's trap. So he's feeling pretty good about this combo. And this combo does end up beating AJO Bladers, as LJ's Bladers combo is taller. So you'll see that that Nexus, even though it's on S tier, it does still tilt. Probably not as far as if it was on Giga, but it does tilt, and what happens, as you can see, it ends up going underneath. So you can see that LJ Bladers Vanish combo is above AJL Bladers. So AJL Blader, he asks for the switch. LJ Blader chooses to stay, and AJL Blader chooses to switch into his Dynamite combo. And his Dynamite combo is, on Zone Dash plus Z. So something to mention here, LJ Blader was asking about if he could switch Quattro. Now I have had a couple players, actually I think 5 or 6 players, ask about how mode change works for Quattro, and I have had some players ask the organized play team, and the organized play team have told them that if they can switch it with their fingers, that some players can use their nails to switch the mode on Quattro. However, the way I ruled it at this tournament, based on the WBO ruling that a Beyblade should be used in the way in which the manufacturer intended, I ruled that if you can do all of the mode changes with your fingernails or just your fingers without taking the Beyblade apart, then you can do the mode change as many times as you want, which is kind of what some of the OP or organized play team has told some of the other players that if they can do it, then they can do it as many times as they want. However, I have tried this, and I've noticed that there are 2 modes that it's almost impossible to do the mode change with the driver on the Beyblade. You have to take the driver off to do that mode change. Therefore, I rule that if any one of the mode changes require you to take the driver or the Beyblade apart, you can only do it one time, which is in line with the WBO ruling that if the Beyblade has to be taken apart for a mode change to occur, you can only do that once. So I'm interested to see on how some players, as this was in Virginia, so I'm interested to see how some of the players in the Carolinas may take that ruling. And I've also followed up with the OP team, so hopefully I'll be getting a complete verdict on Quattro's mode change. However, I do believe that it will be ruled that you can only do it once, since you have to take it apart, as not all modes can be changed without taking the Beyblade apart. Now, they may rule that you can do it as many times as you can, as long as the mode changes that you're changing to don't require taking the Beyblade apart, which is fair if you're only using those modes. But if it comes a point where you're switching to a mode that requires you to take the Beyblade apart, after having switched between modes where you didn't have to take the Beyblade apart, then I don't think that's really fair for your opponent. Alright, so I want to say AJO, he got the point there with his Dynamite combo, and LJ Blader asked for the switch, and AJL decided to keep his Dynamite combo, and AJL decides to switch into his Dynamite combo. So it's Zone Dash plus Z versus Barry. So looking at this, depending on your combo in general, the Zone Dash plus Z can stay standing. I have tried a couple combos with a Dynamite and a Zone Dash plus Z driver, and I do have a few that can just remain standing at the end of the matchup. Now this is a very interesting finish with this matchup here, as AJO's Dynamite ends up being on top of LJ Blader's Dynamite. However, because of the variant and the over, you'll see that LJ Blader's Dynamite combo, or LJ Blader's Dynamite combo, kept spinning while, and I'll sort of rewind that so you guys can actually see this. So AJL's Dynamite is going to stop spinning, and LJ Blader's Dynamite, even though it's underneath it, it's going to keep spinning. And what happens is it makes AJL's Beyblade spin a little bit more, so then LJ Beyblade ends up rocking back. So yeah, you can see it there. So LJ ended up getting the point for that. Now, there were a few matches that were missed, and I'm thinking what happened was there were a lot of replays. And what I do when there's replays is it messes up the recording, because I have to stop the video and then put the device back and then start recording again. And sometimes it won't start recording right away, and I'm trying to get the match started. So sometimes it just won't record matches. So that did happen here. So the score ended up being 4-4, and it comes down to Dynamite versus AJO Blader's Astral Fafner Giga Drift. And I definitely like the Astral Giga Drift combo. And I have to remember that this is different from World, as I'll go into matches with opponents using Astral, and I'll think that the light side is right spin, so I won't launch as hard, and then I'll be kind of trying to figure out how they're equalizing or how they're out spinning me. So I definitely have to get that down. So here, AJL does end up out spinning, and this is another good example of a turn versus a spin. Now, Dynamite is on overbearing, so that is one of the combinations which I mentioned to look out for anytime someone's using bearing, Mobius, Zone Dash plus Z, or if they're using over, tapered, or anything like that. You really have to pay attention. So you see here, Astral is spinning along its central axis, and as of now, Dynamite still is, but it's going to stop spinning and start turning. So right there, it's no longer spinning. It's not rotating at all. It's just turning toward the opposite side of the stadium, while Astral is actually still spinning. Yeah, you see there, Astral is definitely still spinning. So that was the match, and AJO Blader did end up winning. So yeah, overall, this was a really good event. There were a lot of draws, and with the WBO rules, the draws do just keep getting played over and over and over again until somebody wins. Now they do have the video review protocol, which I did use at this tournament, and I do use at essentially all the tournaments with draws. Something else that I have done at tournaments with myself as a player and as a judge or organizer is, as a player, I've asked the opponent if they would like to just switch combos. Both of us switch combos, don't use any of the combos that either of us just used, and just call the match like that. And as a judge, I have also given that opportunity to players. Let's say a match is going on anything over like 8 minutes. I ask them if they want to just switch to combos. Now, a lot of players, they don't want to switch combos, especially when they're up by 1 point, which is definitely understandable. But I do think that is something that the WBO needs to look at. Now, something else that I want to mention, or that I want to start mentioning in all of these tournament analysis, is sort of a combo of the tournament. Now, this won't necessarily be, say, the best combo at the tournament. So, for instance, if there's a tournament in the Carolinas, it won't always be Arca's drift combo. So his Roar Bahamut over drift, that wouldn't really be much of a combo of the day. It would always be the same combo, or sorry, a combo of the tournament. So at this tournament, Crisis Crusher he was using I want to say Vanish Fafnir. I think he used maybe Giga, Vanish Fafnir, Giga, and I want to say Never. Let me make sure this sounds right. Vanish Fafnir over Never. Yeah, and he also used Zero. So he used that combo and he was outspinning same spin drift combos, and he was outspinning opposite spin drives and also opposite spin and same spin Mobius combos, which were definitely being used by everyone in this tournament. So once I think after the second round, everybody started using that combo. It was ridiculous. Everybody was using Vanish Fafnir over Never with armor 0. Now some players switched out and used a different armor, like say 10 for more balance. But that is the combo of this tournament. Again, that was Vanish Fafnir over Never 0, and it was by Crisis Crusher. And I also want to point out that in several of his matches, he did end up switching it to high mode, and it worked the same as if it was in low mode. So yeah, that was definitely the combo of this event. So yeah, if you like these videos, be sure to like, subscribe, and all of that other good stuff. Thanks.